Hey there guys, welcome to the second ticket of Season 4 of Real Features, and it's come to my attention that Scarlet Johanson has officially been signed on for the live-action version of the very popular manga and anime Ghost in the Shell, where she will be playing Major Motoko Kusanagi. First of all, I'm very pleased that Ghost in the Shell is finally being given a live-action adaptation. I think it's Leonardo DiCaprio's production company that have been pushing for this for years. I know Steven Spielberg is a fan, best to my understanding. But I'm not sure Scarlet is the right person to use as the Major. Some people have compared the Major as the anime equivalent of Black Widow. I don't know if I would go that far. Just a personal opinion, and I don't know. If they had gone with Kate Beckinsale, that might have been a little bit more plausible. But via the same token, I could understand if people would think it's a little bit too typecast, considering there'd be so many people that are so used to seeing her as Celine the Vampire from the Underworld series, which apparently Underworld 5 is in the making, best of my understanding. I don't see any reason why Kate couldn't have played the Major, but I don't know. It's real tough to say. You know, if they had gotten, I don't know. It's a really difficult role to cast because there's only like so many good actresses that could play a role like that, where it's pretty much no nonsense. The character is all about business and just wants to get on with it. So again, it would have been really difficult to do. I'm not saying no actress could do it. I'm just saying from a mindset of how, particularly how Mary Elizabeth McGlynn has voiced Kusanagi for so many years. She pretty much, like I've said, the mindset of the Major is everything's pretty much straight and narrow down the middle, call it like it is, and there's no BS, you know. She just pretty much gets on with it. And again, I mean, Scarlet has the athletic capability to be the Major. We've seen from Iron Man 2 and the Avengers that give her time to prepare physically for that role and she's pretty much perfect. But I don't know. And then it also begs the question, who would you cast as Bato in that role? Gonna be intrigued to see as to how much of the anime and manga's vision and art style will actually translate into a live-action adaptation, because we all saw how Blood the Last Vampire did as a live-action movie. Unfortunately, as much as I loved and enjoyed that movie, particularly with the leading protagonist as Saya, I thought she was amazing, but it didn't perform that well at the box office. I think the most it took was something like 9 million worldwide. If I'm incorrect, there is the comment section. You know, I've got no problem with being corrected because it just means I gotta do more research and get my facts straight, so we're all chill on that. I don't know how well the need for the Speed Racer movie did, because I didn't go to see it and I haven't checked on Wikipedia to see what it took at the box office, so you know, I'm not going to comment on that. And of course, we all know how well Dragon Ball did as a live-action movie. I mean, they got so many things wrong with that movie. I mean, yeah, Justin Chatwick pretty much played Goku as being somewhat clueless, but he was chasing tail rather than chasing food. So when they go into this adaptation for Ghost in the Shell, I really hope that the producers and the writers really study the source material as close as possible, because too many mistakes are made today in Hollywood where, like I say, the writers and producers don't study what they're adapting too well. Another example of Hollywood getting it wrong and not studying the source material correctly enough, I know I've bashed it, but look at the 2004 Thunderbirds movie. If they had studied the source material properly and actually brought Jerry Anderson on board to tell them what they're doing correctly, what they need to refine, and what they need to 86 out the door, then the movie might have been salvageable. But because they chose not to even invite him as a consultant, well, there was strike one already. But I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what they will do, because Ghost in the Shell is a major franchise. See what I did just there? Is a major franchise in the anime world, which has got such a huge following from fans globally. They have to get this one. I'm not expecting them to knock it out of the park. I'm expecting them to make it more than watchable, but to come away from the cinema thinking, that was okay. I could actually buy into that. And as to how far they're actually going to take it with... Because as most people know from the original Ghost in the Shell movie that was out in 1996, which James Cameron at the time was quoted for saying, you know, like, and I'm just going to paraphrase here, you know, this is, you know, the next leap in digital animation. And this was coming from the guy who directed 97's Titanic, so, you know, take that as a huge compliment. You know, that movie, in order for the Major to be able to use thermoptic camouflage, the Major would actually be studying the enemy invisible, but she would have to be nude to do it. So I'm wondering how far they're actually going to, I'm going to choose my words very carefully here, go about how much of that that scenario they will actually implement into the movie, because I'm kind of guessing that they might be going for the 14 to 16 demographic, or possibly older. I mean, if they're already going to go for the adult market, because Ghost in the Shell is not a kids show, nor is it a kids manga, whichever your preferred pronunciation is of the word. It's the same thing with the anime. It is not a kids show. Forget that noise straight away. I think if they're, even if they're going to go for the adult demographic, which again, which is what Ghost in the Shell is mainly targeted for, if they go with the aspect that Scarlet will be nude in order to use the thermoptic camouflage, then I'm kind of hoping they'll do it in a sense where you don't really see too much, because I don't think nudity should be something that's the only reason that you're going in to watch a movie for. If there are people that are going to watch an erotic, romantic comedy, well, you kind of have to expect that. But for a movie that's based on a series of, using cyber intelligence and, network intelligence, because, the Major works for Section 9, which is essentially a government law enforcement task force. Words to that effect. And because she's meant to be... Now, in some continuity... Now, in the original one, she is a straight up cyborg. You know, best from what I remember, she was not human to begin with. Yet in Ghost in the Shell, I'm gonna try that again. I said Ghost in the Shell Stand-Alone complex. She was actually born human, but she actually became, by the time we actually get to her adult years, she's already a full cyborg. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what story they're actually going to play into, or if they're just going to outright adapt from the original 1996 movie, which even by today's standards, in terms of the animation, the script, and the voice delivery, it's one of those movies that has aged amazingly well, and you can watch it, you know, for the first time in 10 years, and you're sucked into the story within 2 to 3 minutes, because it's one of those ones, it makes you think. You know, could we get so obsessed with technological advances that we'd actually have artificial digital implant placed into the back of our neck, where we could access, cyber hub networks just by plugging a wire into the back of us? You know, makes you think. This has been the end of the second ticket for Real Features for this season, and I really want to get this conversation going, because I want to know what you, the audience, whether you're fans of Real Features, fans of me specifically, and, if you're, absolute die-hard, hardcore fans of Ghost in the Shell, I really want you to get involved with this particular topic. What do you think about the idea about Scarlet Johansson being a live-action version of Major Mataku Kusanagi in a live-action Ghost in the Shell movie? Really get the hashtags going with hashtag Ghost in the Shell, and then obviously hashtag Scarlet Johansson. Really get this conversation going. And until next time, folks, good night from the night, and have yourselves a good week.